Hello, Ancestral Lineage Take 2. Sorry about that, we've lost connection. So, to continue on, we were talking about how ailments, emotional or mental issues, or beliefs can be expressed through the different lineages. So, for this lifetime, you could say perhaps have social anxiety instead of it more being of a physical feeling. Because maybe in the past, your ancestors experienced anxiety because they were in a war. They experienced anxiety because there was scarcity of perhaps food. Perhaps they even had anxiety because of the poor weather, because it was extremely cold. Maybe it was they might have had even, what's the word I'm looking for? They might even have had certain types of plagues, like locust plagues, any sort of things, but they show up differently because they are in different types of situations, because of the different lifetimes that we live. So these issues become deeply ingrained in our DNA. And whatever we are experiencing also in our lifetime, we have a good chance of passing on to our future generations. But because now, the life that we're living now, in the times that we're living, we have the opportunity to be able to change that and go in and heal those issues and heal those patterns and even those ailments, so we don't pass them on to our children, to our grandchildren, and on to our ancestors that are our future ancestors. And when we do that healing on ourselves, so we heal ourselves, and in healing ourselves, we heal that line of ailment or belief or pattern, so it doesn't go on anymore, and the energy is transformed. We also, in doing so, we are healing the past. We're doing the healing that our ancestors couldn't heal for themselves. And in doing so, we can call them in and we can do it on their behalf, which is a really wonderful thing that we're able to do, because we're healing our family line. And you'll notice when you're doing some ancestral work that not only things change in your life when you're doing that healing, but you'll notice that family around you are also healing as well. And you'll notice that your interaction is different. Perhaps the way you respond to each other is different now. And maybe those perhaps the gap that was between you is no longer there. You are reducing that gap and you're coming together again. So you might find that there's a relative that you haven't spoken to for many years and you're doing your ancestral healing work. You might find that all of a sudden, out of the blue, they start talking to you again. You'll get a phone call, or maybe an email or a Facebook message, or you're at a family get-together and you can start talking again. So that is how things start to heal. So how you can do ancestral healing is you can do it yourself. You can see someone professionally that does ancestral healing, or you can just work on your own personal stuff, sort of thing. So that's a really good way to start healing for your life and your family's life and for future generations. So if we're looking at perhaps our grandparents for answers as to what is going on, you can see traits that run in both sides of the family. And quite often you'll find that you have those same traits that run on both sides of the family, because it's something that you really need to work on, something that you really need to heal. And we also need to look at those traits, and you might believe that they're actually a negative trait, but each trait has a shadow side and a positive side. And that's what we really need to look at as well and think, okay, while there is a shadow or a negative side to this trait, we need to dig deep and go, okay, how can we make this trait now a positive one? So let's look as an example as stubbornness. How can stubbornness show up in your life? Is that maybe stubbornness as in like maybe a refusal to listen to other people's opinions or beliefs? Perhaps a stubbornness to be willing to do anything that is not of their own choice, not of their own accord, not willing to budge at all. But hang on, if we stop and we look at, say, stubbornness, maybe stubbornness is a trait to say, okay, I'm standing in my own personal power. I'm standing up for what I believe in. I'm being me. I'm in complete alignment with what I believe in. So there is two sides to each trait as well, which we need to investigate in our own lives and see what that actually means to us and how it's showing up for us. If we look at our family wounds, sorry, I'm just looking at my notes so I can stay on track. We're connected through our DNA. The way they behave, their beliefs, their successes, their failures, their traumas, their pain, their joys, everything gets passed through our DNA. And sometimes we work on a pattern and it doesn't go away. That is because it is not your energy. It is the energy of the ancestors. But you are also carrying that through with you into your life. So we need to go in, and one of the best ways to heal help our ancestors heal and help ourselves heal is, I'm not sure if you've heard of something, it's in a Hawaiian thing called the Ho'oponopono. So just Google it. It's called Ho'oponopono and it's a forgiveness prayer. But the short version is that you go in and you say you really go in and you say from the depths of your heart that you forgive them for everything that has happened to them, everything that you have done to them willingly or unwillingly, everything that has happened, and you go in and you tell them how sorry that you are. And you're doing this for yourself, you're doing that for them, and you're doing that on behalf of the collective. You're helping them to forgive and your whole ancestral line to forgive everything that they have experienced negatively and everything that they have given out or lived that is negative as well. And I can't remember the exact words, I'm sorry. I should have that in front of me. I should have looked it up. But look it up, it's the Ho'oponopono. And you say it 3 times, but you really say it with deep meaning and expression. And when you do that, they soften and they become more gentle and they're very open and accepting to this work, for us to be able to help them and ourselves heal. So that is a really beautiful thing that we can give ourselves and our family line. Now, have you ever wondered what gifts that your ancestors have given you? Especially through the tough times that they may have lived. So even if you don't know a lot about your family, even if you know that where they've come from, even like many, many generations back, and you can look at the time that they lived and you can appreciate the tough life that they may have lived. And instead of feeling sorry for them, how about having a bit more compassion for them and understanding and say, you know what? Now I understand where they get their resilience from. Now I understand why I'm carrying the energy that I am. And again, similar to the past lives, we can learn to leave that energy in the past where it was created. Because if they grew up in times where there was very little food around, whether it be because there was no money, there was little food because of the weather, the storms, whatever ruined the crops, things like that. We understand then why they feel that way and why they feel that lack. And so if we use lack for an example, that they felt that lack because they didn't have food on the table all the time. But that lack can maybe show up 5 generations down the track, and that lack may come out as, oh, I'm not feeling love. So this is how I mean that we carry the same beliefs, but they're not necessarily expressed the same in each generation. And also, similar to past lives as well, if we have that experience of lack, again with that lack of food on the table, all we want to do is make sure that doesn't happen again in this lifetime. And it's like the past lives. It's, okay, so instead of feeling that lack, I'm going to go the opposite. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stack my shelves full of food so I can never experience that lack of food and hunger again. That's what happens, is because now we're still feeling that lack. That wound is the same, but the way that it shows up is very different. We're overcompensating now for that lack by having so much food in our cupboard that we don't know what to do with it. But we have it there as our safety net, just so we don't get stuck in that same situation. So our ancestors are actually looking at us to help them, because they couldn't help themselves at the time. So it is up to us now, without laying a burden on you, it is up to us now, because we are aware and we have the opportunity to help that ancestral line. So if we think about why we have insecurities, why we might have money issues, why we have the fears we have, we go back and we look, and then we can find appreciation and understanding, and we can leave that in the past and say, okay, I don't want to carry that energy anymore. I don't need to, because that energy is over, that life is over. And introspect, this is where we can find more understanding with ourselves and our lives as well. So is there any other questions? I know people have said about they have that stubborn energy and how that they feel that as well. Accumulating clutter, that's another thing. I like the lack. Or maybe it's a not wanting to let go of your past as well, of your ancestral of any of your ancestral lineage. Clutter is a big thing, and that in itself can be we could even do a live just on clutter, the different meanings of that, because we carry the imprints of our ancestors with us everywhere and every day. So our relationship with our parents, if you look at our relationship with our parents, this is a really good indicator of what we carry. Because how often have you thought, when you look back in your childhood and you say, oh, this is what my mum is like, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I'm not like my mum or I'm not like my dad. And again, we do the opposite, the very opposite of what happened. But again, it's the same core wound that is there. You might have felt as a child, you might have felt abandoned as a child. And when I say abandoned, it doesn't mean that you were left on the street, but abandoned as in they did everything to raise you, but you felt like your parents weren't there, whether it be emotionally not there, physically not there because they were always out and leaving you with a babysitter or with other family. So maybe you think, oh, when I have children, the last thing I'm going to do is leave my child or abandon my child. And what happens is that you can go into that overprotection mode, which is just as harmful for a child because they're stifled, they can't breathe, they don't have freedom. So we really have to look really carefully at at what we carry and how they're expressed, and how healthy is what we're doing, what it is that we're doing. We can have these issues, and whether we're consciously aware of them or not is another thing. And also we can be in denial as well. Let's see, I'm just trying to go through. I'm not going to talk about everything about that I have here. And your childhood environment can very much affect your attitude towards life or about life. Our beliefs about ourselves and our opinion in life, or whether life is safe or whether people are trustworthy, our relationship with money or an attitude around work, or our beliefs about marriage are often formed by our parents. But where did they get these beliefs from? They're also, again, around they have inherited as well, and what they're passing on, because they really only pass on to us what they know, and they only know from what they have experienced. And it's the same for us as parents, as friends, as employees, anything. We only pass on according to the experiences that we have lived as well. So do you have any questions around ancestral, anything ancestral? Because we are not defined by our ancestors. We are not defined by our circumstances. We can choose our own path and our own healing. So a baby develops within its mother's energy in the womb. It is influenced by that, but a baby not only holds genetics of both families, but the energy field also of both families. And the energy system is predominant over the physical system. And when the defenses are down, it is easier for the ancestors to affect us. So we are affected not only by our ancestors, but also by environmental factors as well. And we really do need to go in and heal this for our future generations. We need to find understanding for our future generations, and we need to have more compassion for our ancestors, and even for our current family as well, because that really helps us and it helps them. And as a collective, we're helping each other. We are holding on to collective energy all the time. Everything that has happened to our ancestors is still in some way happening to us, and we're still keeping that energy alive, whether it be in a positive form or a negative form. So I can't see any other questions here. So hello to everyone that has joined, and thank you for joining. I'll just quickly, Shirley, in just regards to that clutter. When you think about the clutter, I just want you to think about this. When you think about clutter, how does that make you feel? Why do you think that you keep this clutter? And is this clutter, is this clutter made up of things that you have purchased? Is it things that you have been given? Is it perhaps sentiments from family that have been handed down from generation to generation? Because every item that we hold within our home has energy. It has energy from the shop that we purchased it at. Anybody that has touched it before us, we're bringing that energy home. The energy within your home is an accumulation of everybody that has been in that home, visitors, the people that live there. Everything holds energy. And also, if you have items given to you or passed down from your family, you have to think about that energy. And it's not just the physical energy of that item. it's the emotional meaning that you attach to that. Now, whether it be because it belonged to a certain relative that has now passed on, whether it be because it's the energy of why you've been chosen to receive this item, or perhaps it's just the meaning of oh, I saw it, I liked it, I wanted it. What meaning does it hold to you, and why are you still hanging on to that? It's not the item, it's the meaning behind that clutter of what each item has for you as to why you can't let go of that item. Is it because there is something that it ties you to that person, it keeps that energy alive? I stay awake at night because I don't like clutter. It's a combination. My husband likes to hold on to it a lot. That's an interesting thing, because you don't like the clutter. So does that mean that the clutter is all your husband's and not yours? I wonder. You know, even the clutter that we have, we could take a photo of that item and you have that photo forever, but you don't have that physical item taking up space anymore. That's one idea, if that helps. Your husband might need a little bit of time to get used to that idea, but it's a thought. You can take a photo of that item and then get rid of it, because at the end of the day, why are you holding on to it? I remember it was about 20 years ago my grandmother passed on, and because I was the only grandchild, it was up to me to clean out her house, sell the house and everything. And it's like, well, I was only young myself. I didn't really know what to do. So I sold on a lot of the furniture and a lot of the household stuff and personal items I brought home. I didn't know what I was going to do with any of it, but I just knew I had to keep it because I couldn't get rid of it, because this was part of my grandmother. This was her life. So I kept it. But over that 20 years, I've kept it all in storage, and I keep going in, and I was like, I'm ready to let go of this. I'm ready to let go of this now. Now, today, I still have quite a bit of that stuff. But when I'm ready, I find I'm able to let go of a little bit more and a little bit more. Because obviously, yes, time has sort of healed, but it has brought perspective as well. As in to say, perhaps I thought I needed to keep it as like to honor her. Maybe it was about what she would think or what she would feel of me to just get rid of everything. But now I find perspective and say, okay, just because I'm not keeping these items now, doesn't mean I didn't love her any less. I didn't respect her possessions any less. It's just a matter of it's time to let go. I've not looked at any of this stuff for 10 years or more. What is the point of keeping it? So it's about finding perspective and letting go of what you don't need. I still have the memories. I still have photographs. And maybe there's a couple of items left that I would really keep, but I will still keep over the next few years, just getting rid of and letting go of other things, because at the end of the day, why not let somebody else have them that might have a greater use for them or a greater meaning for them? Sorry, I'm just about to sneeze. Instead of me keeping them locked away, serving no purpose at all. Vicky, how can you clear this energy? You do the work on yourself, and that clears the way, clears the healing for the ancestors and for your current family as well. That's the best thing to do. It's like when you're in a really bad relationship, or you want to draw someone even into your life. The best thing is to do your own work and then the rest will fall into place. I'm not sure, Vicky, if you were here for the start of the Facebook Live. Go back. I will post this as well, so you can go back and just have a listen. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. But if we keep doing the healing work on ourselves and clearing our stuff, finding compassion with ourselves and our ancestors, you'll find that we're doing that healing work for ourselves, our future generations, and our ancestors as well. I think I'm going to wind it up here. So again, if you have anything else that you want me to talk about, any other topics, we're going for another 8 days of things. So put any topics down, any questions down that you might have that you want answered over the next 8 days, because I don't have anything in particular I'm talking about yet for tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. And if you're going to be watching the replay and you have questions as well, make sure you put #replay so I know to come back and have a look at that question and answer that question. Thank you for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.